first met Marcus one Sunday afternoon when my doorbell rang, and Carol and I answered the door, and there was this couple with this young boy standing on the porch saying, "We're gonna be your new neighbors across the street and be prepared for construction." So that was our introduction to them. We worked with Marcus on this project. He came up with this. He'll explain all that in his talk, I am sure. But Marcus has a lot of energy, and he has a lot of desire to learn history, and so he chose this project for his Ingwa School's 8th grade thing, but he'll get into that. But he's a 2nd degree black belt Taekwondo, so don't mess with him. He looks peaceful, but be careful around him. And it's really, I could say a whole lot about this young man, but it's just inspiring to see young folks that have taken an interest in this community and worked to put this book together. And if you have it, I mean, it's an amazing book. If you have it, I encourage you to at least look at it and possibly purchase it. But there's facts there that all of us from Kingston never knew. So there's some things that we definitely learned, and I think every time I open the book, I find something else more fascinating than the time before. So without any further ado, Marcus, go ahead.
Okay, so hello everyone, and my name is Markus McParland. I am 14 years old, and I am the author of Community Collection for Kingston, New Jersey.
Marcus, can you do me a favor and tap on that microphone? Keep going. Oh, that's too many lights. Give him a little bit of light so we can see.
Do I keep tapping? Hello.
He's young. You're good. You're good. You're good. Oh, my.
I can see. Okay. Sorry. Am I good? All right.
Oh, we're good.
We live in such an amazing community. Not many people know our colonial roots, though. We are the midway point between New York and Philadelphia. Today, you can make that trip in an hour and a half to 2 hours. Well, back in the day, though, it could take 2 days. Kingston was the place to stop and rest. On any given night, it was said that there were 400 horses and 40 coaches in our village. With all the traffic through our community, there were certainly a lot of stories that were made, told, and forgotten.
Okay. Let me get your slides up here.
People have asked why I chose this project, though. In the 7th grade, I knew that I needed to come up with a community project for my 8th grade year.
Hang on. We're going to go over here. Next slide. And we're going to show.
Go to the next page.
Boom.
Go to the next page.
Next one?
Yeah.
Okay. Boom. Whoops, hang on. Always complicated. Here we go. Right.
So, okay, living in Kingston, you hear a lot about its history. But there wasn't one place that had most of those stories and information written down. My initial thought was to do some recordings of those who knew the history of Kingston. Then it turned into 5 to 10 articles of a few topics. And then, as I started to dig in and find things, it turned into 570 pages of our history. I am not an expert on each and every single page, because each page could be a book in of itself. Given the vast amount of topics, I narrowed it down to 6 sections: inns, taverns and hotels, homes and historic sites, people and how they lived, artifacts, uncovered secrets, and public records. So I would like to share a few of my favorites from each section. Inns and taverns, I'm going to share the Whistle Inn, the Pine Tree Hotel, Gulf Inn, Brooks Manor. And then in the homes and historic sites, I'm going to share the Kingston Firehouse, Hasty Acres, Kingston Cemetery, Delaware and Remington Canal, U.S. Torpedo Boat, and then 10 Laurel Avenue. And then people and how they lived: Joseph Hughes, Major General Hugh L. Scott, and Dr. John Van Dyne. Artifacts, Native American artifacts, Johnny Bull and Good Time Charlie's. and Uncovered Secrets, Pearl, the Mule Claim, Bandit Mob Battle, and Big Drug Bust. Okay, that one's gonna be interesting. So let's go to Inns and Taverns.
Next?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. The Whistle Inn. So the Whistle Inn was located in the Jedediah Higgins home and used to be a popular spot for drinking and socializing. So here in this page, you can see that the Whistle Inn is being sold. And in the bottom, and in most of the pages they have this, but if there's a building that is mentioned and it's still standing, we have a picture of what the current building looks like. So that right there, I think it's on Raymond Road, is the Whistle Inn. Okay, next. So the Pine Tree Hotel, 1930s to 1970s, was located across from what is now the Rocky Top Dog Park on Route 27. It was a popular place for diners and social gatherings. So here you can see a few of the articles about the Pine Tree Hotel, and you may notice that there aren't any buildings, but there are 2 posts on the side. That is what is remaining of the Pine Tree Hotel, and you can see that if you're driving on, I think it's Route 27. If you're driving on Route 27 and you look to your left, you will see those 2 posts. I guess one of the lines was missing. These both have lions. So the Gulf Inn, 1920s. Gulf Inn, 1920s through the 40s, once had gas pumps and a dance pavilion. So here is the Gulf Inn, and there are articles about the Gulf Inn. And now this building down there is I guess you could say occupied, but owned by New Dawn Landscaping, and they operate inside of it as well. So, and the building's still standing. So, for next one, Brooks Manor, 1930s to 40s, famous for banquets, drinking, and concession stand candy. Like many of the other inns and taverns, though, they were shut down for having illegal slot machines. So here is one of my favorites in the inns and taverns because we never really had one whole picture up until later in the book. We never had one whole picture. So my dad and I actually went through and found a bunch of different pictures of what it looked like and created a rendering of what the Brooks Manor would look like. But eventually, Charlie below found a bird's eye view of what the building actually used to look like. So that's pretty cool. Next. Homes and historic sites. Okay. So we have the Kingston Firehouse, established in 1924 as a result of a devastating fire on Main Street. Throughout the book, the fire company is well represented because it not only worked to save lives, but it helped keep our community together. So in this page, you can see the fire company is being organized, and below there's also an image of what it currently looks like. Next page. Hasty Acres. Okay, so 1960s, located on Old Laurel, it had a lot of events for special needs individuals and horseback riding classes. It currently operates as the Kingston Staples. I chose this mainly because I'm actually riding one of the horses there, Oatmeal Cookie, and that over to the left of it is the Kingston Staples logo. Okay, so next one. So Kingston Cemetery is the original site of the Presbyterian Church, founded in 1723. It was also famous for the Conference on Horseback by General George Washington following the Battle of Princeton. This is the final resting place for many of our founders and people who built this great community. So there is a map of the cemetery, what the cemetery used to look like, and plans to change it as well. And then below there's a Google map rendering of what it looks like now. Okay, so next one. I think this is one of the top 3 of my favorites because it's really random. But a U.S. torpedo boat went through the canal in 1894 by order of the Navy Department. This experiment from Washington to New York made residents pretty curious. So here's the article of what happened, and I guess the Navy Department was testing their torpedo boats, and they went from Washington to New York, and they came through the Delaware and Barrington Canal. Okay, next page. Of course, 10 Laurel Ave, New Jersey house built in 1845, also known as the Snowflake House, has housed many important figures such as author Peter Putnam and, of course, the famous author Markus McParland. So, yeah, so there's well, I guess I'm gonna call it 10 Laurel Ave in a newspaper. In a magazine where it shows the renovations and before and after pictures. And below is, of course, what it looks like now. Okay, next. So, people and how they lived. Okay. No. Joseph Hughes, born in January 23rd, 1730 in Kingston, is the second signer of the Declaration of Independence and the first Secretary of the Navy. I had the opportunity to actually tour his home, tour the home, and it's still standing to this day. Now, many people will say currently his house is in Princeton, but at that time when he was born, up until Snowden Lane, which is actually where his house is at, it was Kingston. So it was actually Kingston. So he was technically born in Kingston at his time. So next. Major General Hugh L. Scott was one of the last people to understand how to communicate with Native American tribes in sign language. He was commissioned by our government to communicate with the tribes on film in 1930. The YouTube link to see the video is actually in the book. And here are some articles about General Hugh L. Scott and where he lived. Next. Dr. John Van Dyne was the only person to serve in the Civil War, Spanish-American War, and World War I as a surgeon. He lived in what became Brooks Manor and is currently the Palace of Asia. He actually was 71 when he served in World War I as a surgeon, so that's pretty interesting. So, thanks. Artifacts. So, Native American artifacts such as arrowheads, peace pipes, and axes have been found all around Franklin Township and Kingston. So in this page, there is pictures of artifacts, and there's actually pictures of me looking at these artifacts. And Rose Davidson actually has been collecting these artifacts since at a very young age, and she has many of them. And I was fortunate enough to actually be able to see some of them, so that was very cool. Next. My number 1 favorite, okay, the Johnny Bull displayed at the Smithsonian, okay, was the first New Jersey steam engine shipped over from England in 1831. Its last service had it running between Kingston and Rocky Hill. So on my DC school trip, I actually went to the American History Museum, Smithsonian, and I got to, basically when you walk in and turn left, it's right there. And I got one of my friends to take a picture of me next to it. I got a bunch of pictures of it, so I was really happy to see it in person. And there's a picture with just the train there, and an article about the train. And then below are railroad ties you can actually still see in Kingston along the path. So with the actual longitude and latitude coordinates, GPS coordinates. Next page. So yeah, at the beginning, I'm just gonna make a little disclaimer at the beginning. I never liked this page because of how I was holding the stuff, but I kind of like it now, so I put it in the presentation. Many of you will remember Good Time Charlie's as a popular steakhouse. Currently, it is the Palace of Asia. Here is one page with some of the artifacts, but throughout the book you will find other artifacts and things about the building, including menus. So here you can see me actually dressed up with the apron they used to wear. I have holding a cup, and I think that's the menu. And there's all around, there's napkins, there's a card, and another card. So that's pretty interesting. Next. Okay, the juicy section, or uncovered secrets. So Pearl, okay. Pearl was adopted by Laura Withington Monteith in the early 1900s and was abused in Kingston for several years until New York social services took her away. There are several articles on this page that following her story in the book. Okay, so here we have the articles of actually her story. One was 1905, 1911, and 1914, and yeah, so it's a pretty interesting story. Okay, next. So my second favorite, mule claim. In World War I, the locks and bridges were guarded by the New Jersey National Guard, and a mule mistaken as a spy at the bridge at the DNR Canal was shot by a guardsman. The owner claimed a loss of $250 from the government, and it was the first war claim filed in Kingston. Okay, next page. This isn't my favorite, but it's juicy, so. Liquor shootout in Kingston leads to 2 dead and $30,000 of liquor stolen. There are several articles in the book following the story and attempt to find the criminals. So go to the next page. It's also so both these pages talk about the battle basically between the two, and the liquor truck was also stolen.
Was it the bandits who got killed or the good guys?
I think there were no good guys. I don't think. But
The milkman was good though.
I think he was one of them that got killed sadly. But next one. Big drug bust. Okay, 200 pounds of marijuana found at a local farm. At the time, mass producing and distributing without proper licensing was illegal. The police actually walked in on the workers drying the marijuana. So that was kind of funny, but here you can see it's basically a full report of what happened and how they kind of found out what happened. So, next page. So, in closing, I would like to thank the people who helped me through my project, especially those who opened up their homes, businesses, and shared pictures, artifacts, and stories with me. The books are on sale in the back of the room, and I'm available to sign them. And they will be available at the upcoming craft show as well. So where can you purchase the book though? So you can purchase it at www.kingstonbook.com, or you can reach out to the Kingston Historical Society for upcoming events. And of course, as I said, there are a few available to purchase, and I'll be in the back to sign them. And all proceeds from the sale of the book are donated to the Kingston Historical Society. And thank you, everyone. If you guys have any questions, I will do my best. Does anyone have any questions?
What was Pearl?
Pearl was a child adopted by, the name of the child adopted by Laura Withington Monteith, who was abused for several years until she was taken away.
The marijuana bust, what year was that?
I think that was 1980s. I'm not 100% sure, but if you can go back up real quick.
Go back. Hang on. I gotta click there. I can go up there.
Yeah, so 1987. I still remember.
You got it. What was the what article or whatever didn't quite make it into the book?
That I didn't quite make it into the book. I don't really remember because it didn't make it into the book, but there were definitely still some out there, which is why I am working on book 2. And I'm taking notes of stories and stuff like that. It's not going to be as big and as grand as this book because, of course, I'm in high school now and I don't have that much time. So, yeah. So there's some articles that we found after the book, and we're going to put them in there.
I would also like to point out that Jeremy Pollack told me your book is available from Barnes and Noble.
Yes, that's when you go to www.kingstonbook.com. It takes you to Barnes and Nobles. Yes.
Well, that's where I bought my copy.
Yes.
Where'd you have to go to look for all your stuff? Because I know it can be pretty daunting trying
Oh, so the whole point of the project, because it wasn't in one area, like you couldn't flip through a page and find it. So what we did was we went to knocked on other people's homes and asked them, did you have any artifacts, history, asked them to reach out to us. We also went online, when we basically scoured the whole internet looking for articles. Anywhere we could find an article, we basically put it in the book. And then artifacts, of course, we have to go to different places. Even I went to the Historical Society to document some of the artifacts that we found there. And yeah, that's basically how we got most of those stories, so. Okay. He's
Are your
gonna-
parents still sane after this? I mean.
Okay. I plead the fifth. No, they weren't.
What advice would you give to someone who's trying to figure out how to take a historical project?
A project like this, I guess consistently work on it. It's not gonna be done over one night. It is going to take a while, and trust me, there are gonna be some tears. And I don't want to do this after 300 pages and still have to do 270 more. So.
We have a couple of comments from online saying, nice presentation and congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, we have a question.
Oh.
We have a question that's brewing.
Who's writing it? Is it my mom? Okay, good.
Anyway, any other questions out here?
I have one. Did you actually receive a grade on this book for your
Oh
project?
yeah, so I did receive a grade for this book, and I got an A,
Of course.
not an A plus.
So,
What did they expect?
Well, you should have had 600 pages.
Yeah, maybe 700. Yeah.
so
No.
the online question asks, they said they're new to Kingston and they wonder, what those gas pumps are on Route 27.
Those gas pumps are actually they're not in use anymore, of course, but they're like more of decoration. They're older and they used to be in use, so they kept them there as a historical landmark kind of.
That used to be Union Line.
Used to be Union Line Garage. That's actually in the book, but
Marcus, as a frame of reference, what other kind of projects did students at the Yinghua School do?
so in my 8th grade year, we only had 3 students, 2 girls and me. So of course the 2 girls started work together, but they worked on a home economics and helped other kids learn how to do a bunch of things at home, so and things on their own, so they can as an adult they can use that stuff. They can use those skills.
Okay, thank you.
What are your?
Oh no, he has one more question.
Can you do it all in Mandarin for us now?
You wish. No. I could, but I don't want to.
Yeah, Marcus does speak fluent Mandarin. Yes,
One
or no?
question, have you any ambitions for your life beyond high school?
Yes, I would. I'm looking at 2 things. Either opening my own martial arts dojo, which I think I'm going to do either way, but software engineering. So
I hear
Lot
that's
of
catching
coding.
on.
Yeah. A lot of coding.
Obviously, what Marcus presented is just a small part of the book. Those that have lived in town a long time have learned a lot of things that we didn't know, like the Golf Inn. I personally knew Schussler's had a place up there that had a dance pavilion and a picnic grove. I never knew they had gas pumps, and that they had like a restaurant inside, so never knew that. Had not heard much about the Whistle Inn, so some of these things come back to us when he did some research, and he just touched on just those stories. He's right, some of those stories could become a book of their own, because there's interesting things, wasn't it, on the Whistle Inn, where there was a stolen vehicle that the thief pushed across the county line so that the one county wouldn't have jurisdiction and they couldn't arrest him. Those kind of things. There were state police barracks here in Kingston, and troopers working out of Kingston. Obviously, there's stories in the book about the Trap Rock and about Princeton Nurseries, both huge places of business in the village. So really, and then I love the personal ads where so-and-so visited so-and-so in New York, or these two people went to a Princeton football game, or
Old social media.
all those kind. Yeah, the today's internet and social media was a gossip column, basically. This one's home from appendicitis, and this one is visiting somebody somewhere else, and so-and-so had a tooth pulled or whatever. It's just, those kind of stories, which are all in the book also, so.
No, here.
He did a great job with the book, and even if you're not purchasing, I would encourage you to at least look through it and see the volume of work that went into it. Thank you, Mark.